Philadelphia just received a brand new update on Lane Johnson's foot injury that might throw a wrench into the initial report. All of the slow return of Nolan Smith is about to finally come to an end. Plus, while the latest media attack on Jalen Hurts yesterday makes no sense when you actually hear the facts. Oh, and the sins of Kevin Patullo keep repeating themselves, but there's hope he might have finally seen the light. From Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. By now, if you expected the 8-2 NFC-leading Philadelphia Eagles to not have some fresh media-manufactured drama nearly every single week, well, then you might either be a new Eagles fan or simply have chosen to tune out these ridiculous narratives that keep popping up all too often. Honestly, I can't blame you either way because the latest bombshell narrative, meant to divide the birds from the inside out, is already being pushed back on by a ton of people who might actually be in the know. And yet, while all that's going on, real updates for real players when they play real games coming up this weekend dropped today, including a very interesting bit of news for Lane Johnson. First, though, I'm still waiting to hear from the winner of the Birds Retro hoodie from yesterday. That was Juno Edwards. So, Juno, let me know down below if you want to go ahead and claim it. If not, I will draw a new winner on Thursday's show from someone down in the comments section, so drop a like and comment Go Birds down below. Plus, the new winner of the Zach Bond signed picture at the end of the day's show. Watch till the end. Make sure you see if you won. Now, serious news first. We'll get to the drama at the end. But yesterday, we learned from reports that Lane Johnson's Liz Frank foot injury should keep him sidelined for about 4 to 6 weeks. And of course, that was good news because Week 18 is 7 weeks from Sunday, meaning there's a real chance he's back for the Birds' first playoff game, whether that's a wildcard game or maybe even a divisional round opener. However, this morning, Jeff McLean sent an update via the Inquirer stating, quote, the inflammation in Lane Johnson's foot needs to go down before he can have x-rays to determine if his Liz Frank injury needs surgery per NFL sources. So it could be a week or more before the Eagles know exactly how long their all-pro right tackle is out this season. Again, initial indications are that it's a sprain, keep him out for, as we said, the range of 4 to 6 weeks. It's also Johnson's right foot, opposite the one he had multiple surgeries on over the years. And that, of course, is a big update because yesterday it was like, oh, 4 to 6 weeks, it's a sprain. And now it's like, oh, we think it's 4 to 6 weeks. However, we haven't actually done x-rays. We don't actually know if he needs surgery. And so stand by for more Lane Johnson updates, hopefully soon. At least it's the opposite foot of all the leg problems, knee problems, ankle problems he's had on the other foot throughout his entire career. I guess that's good news, though, but right now, we truly do not know how much longer Lane's going to be out. Obviously, we're all holding out hope he'll be back sooner rather than later because I don't have to tell you, as Eagle fans, the 15-23 historical record without Lane Johnson at right tackle. Although, if there is a positive note here, that Philadelphia traded for Fred Johnson, and in games where Fred Johnson has started, a couple already happened this year, Philadelphia is 5-1. So at least there's that.
I think really, the history of Fred is he's going to work extremely hard. He's going to know what to do. He's playing tight end for us, and all of a sudden he's got to play tackle. So there's a lot of confidence in that. I mean, he's a really good player, extremely big person and personality, fun to be around, and he cares. So it's cool to see a guy like that get an opportunity. And like you said, the history of knowing he did it last year and he's done it before, and if he's got to do it again, we know he's going to give it all he has, and he did a really good job Sunday night.
Now, moving on to the other good piece of injury news, and some have wondered when we would see vintage Nolan Smith back, at least vintage from 2024, return here in 2025. And while Nolan has been back for the past 2 games since re-injuring his triceps, his snap counts have continued to be the lowest of all the edge rushers, at least against the Packers and Lions. Leaving some to wonder, is it Nolan's injury, or is it the fact that Jalen Phillips is balling out, Jalen Hunt is playing well? And at least today, Vic Fangio was asked that question, and he confirmed very briefly that it's a snap count limited by the medical staff and not Vic Fangio.
I mean, he's not playing as much as he was before the injury.
Correct. They have put a snap limitation on him.
Yeah, okay.
And that, of course, is great news because for as good as the defense has been, and trust me, the stats like first in passing touchdowns allowed, first in opponent's completion percentage, top 3 in red zone, top 3 in batted balls are all incredible. A healthy Nolan Smith playing a lot more reps on this defensive line right now is only going to further increase their defensive dominance with some suspect offensive lines coming up in the next few weeks. My guess is number 3 is very close, maybe this weekend, to a full slate of snaps, and that's going to be very exciting for the defensive line. Oh, and also there was a short clip from Vic Fangio when asked about Jalen Phillips, probably the best pass rusher Philadelphia has right now, where they asked him, can he get back to his peak form that we saw in Miami a couple years back? And well, Vic Fangio gave a resounding yes and thinks that Jalen Phillips is just scratching the surface of what he can do in Philadelphia's defense in 2025. Now, of course, that's all real news. I wanted to start with the real news, the updates on Lane Johnson and Jalen Phillips, and obviously Nolan Smith, before we get to the manufactured drama that's going to finish today's show. Because if you've been living under a rock, you might have missed yesterday. There was a major media attack on Jalen Hurts, and there's a lot to uncover. Now, of course, to set the stage here, this fresh drama comes from the mouth of Derrick Gunn. Don't know who that is. He's a legendary Eagle reporter. I respect him. He definitely knows stuff and currently is an Eagles pre- and post-game host for a casino show. And it was on that post-game show this past Sunday where Gunn claimed to have insider knowledge of Jalen Hurts going rogue in the Birds offense.
It has been constantly discussed all season long, yet when they transition to the field on a football game, he plays his game. Not the game the coaches want him to play. He plays his game. I don't think you can get him out of that mode at this particular point. I think is what we're going to have to watch all season long is him playing his game. You know, you look at a lot of quarterbacks, they're going to sling it. They're going to try to throw it through an eye of a needle. Sometimes you just have to take that chance. That's not his game. That's why he stands back there. A lot of times he's patting the ball, and it throws the timing of the offense off. The rhythm is thrown off. I don't think at this point they can't get him out of it. It's frustrating in a lot of ways to the coaching staff and to the players.
And that's not all of it. Derrick Gunn also went on to further claim that Hurts is currently Carson Wentz 2.0 and is one of the Birds hostage overall with his contract.
I've been telling you, there's a lot of people in that organization that are frustrated with the quarterback situation right now, but the quarterback understands he has him over a barrel. This is almost Carson Wentz part 2. They're not going to eat this kind of money yet. There's no way they're going to eat this kind of money. Look at the cap hit they took when they got rid of Carson, and look, it took them a couple of years to get back on solid ground again, footing, because they were handcuffed financially because of what they owed in the cap hit they took with Carson Wentz. You got the same scenario here with a bigger volume of money involved here.
And so, yeah, there you go. Fresh manufactured drama outside the organization from insiders. And listen, I like Derrick Gunn. I think he's been a great reporter, a longtime tenured reporter of the Eagles. He has sources, but his claims, they're really ridiculous, and I just don't buy them. First off, this whole idea that Jalen Hurts is hated by the organization, by the players in the locker room. Did you get that vibe from this clip in the Bird locker room following the Lions game? Like, does it look like his teammates don't like him at all? Plus, are we really going to act like Jalen Hurts never throws the ball aggressively and always takes what the defense gives him, and that's his main problem? I mean, we forget that there was a Super Bowl game against the Chiefs defense where he not only threw the football well, but absolutely carved up Spagnuolo's guys. Personally, I think that matters, but I guess others don't. But if you need more recent examples, how about the second half versus the LA Rams? Absolutely carved that defense up. Maybe the entire game, we forget about this, a couple of weeks ago versus the Vikings, or even versus the Giants, he had 4 passing touchdowns in that win. I mean, sure, Hurts might be a little too careful throwing the football, and sometimes it might frustrate the receivers. I'm sure A.J. Brown would like balls more forced to him, as we saw this past week. But this whole idea that his teammates don't like him, that he's this cancer in the locker room, that, the organization is handcuffed by him. Listen to Jordan Mailata on WIP last night, being the first Eagle player to react to this report and throwing a ton of water on the fire.
Well, I don't see it. I know how much work Jalen puts into this, and so I just have to. I don't know how to address that. Sure. I'll be honest. I don't know how to address that. I think it's kind of unfair to say that he's the main problem. When I come on this show every week and we break down the run game and we break down how that's not opening the passing game and then we break down protection and how we missed the call here and missed the block here, and so we're giving up sacks or we're giving up pressures. It's not. It's causing Jalen to scramble, and so I think it's kind of crazy.
Plus, I mean, come on, comparing Jalen Hurts to Carson Wentz, calling him Carson Wentz 2.0 is absolutely insane. Carson had one good year and famously pouted that year in the locker room after his team won the Super Bowl. Jalen has won infinitely more big games than Wentz and also has this little thing called a Super Bowl MVP. That matters. And the cherry on top, though, is the fact that Jeff McClain, also somewhat of not a drama-filled reporter, but he likes to kind of lean into drama in Philadelphia. On The Fanatic yesterday, was asked about this entire thing, and all of us thought, oh my gosh, Jeff's going to further back this up with his inside information, and it was the exact opposite.
Yeah, absolutely overblown. I mean, look, I did a lot of digging in last week just after the whole A.J. Brown thing, and it was something they had to deal with. It was not business as usual down there, even though Nick says it was, but it's nowhere near inside what it is on the outside. And I think that this, honestly, I really haven't been paying attention with what's just chatter has been going out there with Jalen Hurts, because I know what I know about the whole Jalen Hurts situation, and I feel like I have a better handle on anyone in the media, to be quite frankly. So if I haven't really come out and reported anything, I just don't think it. I don't think it has risen to the level that I guess it sounds like you guys are talking about.
It's reports like these that make all of us just kind of want to tune out from the mainstream Eagle narrative. It's why a lot of people in Philadelphia don't listen to the radio or don't listen to beat writers, because it seems like every single week they're trying to stir the pot, and you would think Philadelphia was 2-8 instead of 8-2. Now, do I think Jalen Hurts is completely loved by everybody in the organization? No. Is he completely absolved of all sins? Has he struggled at times this year? Yes. But to say that he's Carson Wentz 2.0 and handcuffing the organization and holding them hostage just feels like a lot of clickbait and not a lot of substance. Now, I do think at times Jalen Hurts has become too conservative with his decision-making, especially following his 2023 campaign where he threw like 1 billion interceptions, and clearly the emphasis was, don't turn the ball over and we'll be fine. But what the media always ignores is the fact that he can only go as far as his play caller takes him, and we have facts to prove that and back it up. When he's had good play callers, 2022, 2024, he has lit up opposing defenses, especially through the air. And then when he hasn't, the sledding gets much tougher. Yet even when the play calling is at its worst, he's still led the Birds to the playoffs every single year he's been a starter. And I think the best example, even from this past weekend, of the play calling continue to be the main issue can be emphasized with one simple route concept, the curl or hitch route, which Philadelphia, for whatever reason, cannot stop using. I mean, for example, how about here on 2nd and 18 versus Detroit? Every receiver simply runs their version of a curl route. The defense is sitting on it. Where do you want Jalen Hurts to throw? Or this example, again, who's open? Who do you want Jalen Hurts to throw the football to right here? There is no creativity and no scheming guys open. It's been like this for 11 straight weeks. In fact, Kevin Patullo loves the curl or hitch routes so much this year that Goddard, Smitty, and AJ are all averaging nearly 8+ curl routes per game apiece. No other team having 2 players even close to the top 16 in that same exact route. Philadelphia has all 3 of their top weapons in that category. And the worst part is, media members are trying to ask Kevin Patullo these exact questions. Today, for example, I'll show you the clip. He was asked, do you think you schemed properly against Detroit's defense? And his answer, it's just a bunch of gibberish.
What they do in terms of man defense well enough, in terms of having man beating routes, pick routes, that kind of stuff.
I think when you look at it, obviously when we reflect back on the game, there's always things you want to try to see if you can do more of and exploit after you play them. And that's kind of the process we went through yesterday as the staff and with the players. But in the moment, just trying to get a feel for what they're doing and how it's coming about, when it's happening, certain coverages. You always look back and say, okay, the next time, if we play them again, what are we going to do? So that's kind of what we went through the other day.
For me, there's 3 main points that give the full picture on the current state of Jalen Hurts as a Philadelphia Eagle. A, Jalen Hurts has had a brand new offensive coordinator every single year of basically his football life, but especially with the Birds. And B, despite that, this season, with maybe the worst offensive coordinator he's had, he's still top 10 in a ton of major passing categories. And finally, C, for comparison, Philadelphia this past Sunday night had 272 yards of total offense versus the Lions, which everybody's saying, oh my gosh, that is terrible. They were so bad. What were they doing? And yet the Rams, everybody loves them, were in a perfectly conditioned dome on the same day against a very good Seattle Seahawks team and had just 249 total yards of offense in their win, and no one bats an eye. Do I think Jalen Hurts can be better? Yes. Do I think there are people inside the organization who might be a little bit frustrated with him? Sure. I mean, come on. A.J. Brown is probably one of them. But do I think this is a massive scandal and that he's holding the Eagle organization hostage, that the Eagles are doomed now? No. They're 8-2 right now. They just have beaten the Lions, the Packers, they beat the Bucks, they beat the Chiefs. They've beaten every single playoff team they faced so far this season except for the Broncos. And there were some, penalty calls that should have gone our way, but either way, Philadelphia is in a good spot. I think Kevin Patullo has got to find out a way or figure out a way to scheme guys open. And once he does, this offense can take us back to a Super Bowl. I think as it currently stands, they still can with the defense. But this whole idea that this is a major dramatic story that we got to freak out about once again, I'm just not interested. What does interest me, though, is 2 subtle moves that I think Kevin Patullo can go ahead and instigate to maybe get the offense a little bit more back on track. First of which is empty formation calls, spreading everybody out. Let Jalen Hurts not only throw the football, but run as well. They've had a lot of success here. They did it against the Lions on Sunday, and something Kevin Patullo has refused to do a lot of most recently, but it does sound like in his presser today, he wants to implement it more often.
No, I think he still does a great job. I mean, he's made really good plays for us with his legs when we need him, especially in the last couple of games. And I think if you look at some of the plays, there's a few where it could be him running or him throwing, and it's happened a little more this year where the throws happen more than the run. And I think we'll continue to use that because it is a dynamic part of the offense. When he's running the ball, he does a great job with it.
The other is super simple. How about mixing in a little bit more Tank Bigsby? The Birds' backup running back is averaging 9+ yards per carry the past 3 weeks. And clearly, he's been a great change of pace player on the offense whenever Saquon Barkley needs a break.
Yeah, when he comes in, I mean, he brings a lot of energy. I think we talked about this a week or two ago, right? So the energy and the juice that he brings is awesome. And he runs extremely hard. And Saquon does a great job of knowing when he needs a break and when he doesn't. And Jamal does an unbelievable job having all those guys ready for anything that's in the plan. And, he runs hard. And it's been a really good spark for us.
Implementing those two things alone would dramatically improve Philadelphia's offense. And once they get clicking, once they figure it out, I think they're going to be just fine. But again, it's not just Jalen Hurts, and that's the emphasis of today's show. The idea that it's just Jalen Hurts when, the offensive line isn't blocking well, AJ's, a little slower, maybe he's a little bit banged up. There's a ton of different factors. The idea that we're going to attack Jalen Hurts when he's the reason they're 8-2, along with the defense and, of course, other reasons, with the offensive coordinator that he has, just not interested today. Now, of course, before we go ahead and end today's show, I had to redraw the winner of the Zach Bond signed picture from the Super Bowl here, courtesy of the Eagles Autism Foundation. And that winner was at Shauna Lane. I think Shauna Lane, 5929. Shauna, sorry, go down below. Send me an email, all the information, how to do it, down below in my description box. Everybody else, watch out for scammers. If I don't hear from you by Saturday's show, I'll probably redraw again. But hopefully I'll hear from Shauna, but she is the new winner. I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out here on a Tuesday. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.